Here's what I know an awful lot about. In the schools of America, there are armies of teachers who are taking advantage of their role in the classroom to indoctrinate your children and your grandchildren. And you, some of you are the parents of those children who have come home to you and you don't recognize them. You're thinking, where did this child come from? You're looking at them thinking, what? You don't recognize them. And I used to be a teacher, so I have quite a bit of insight into this. There is a period of time in everyone's life when they hate their parents. Pretty much, it happens to everyone. During that period, they replace that loved person with someone else. In very often the case, particularly in a place like America, where teachers are really nice, they will replace the person, you, with the teacher. And the teacher has got a lot going for them. This is a person of authority. This is someone who went to college, who is knowledgeable about something, supposedly, and also is really nice to me. And so they're loving this person. And here's what that person is telling them. And you know, you really can't take this more seriously. This is super serious. I think this is where it's all at. They tell them that this country is awful. They tell them that mining is awful. They tell them that oil is awful. They tell them that people are awful and that the planet would be better if there was none of us. And they tell them that all the time, in every class. And class is not even slightly related to the environment. They're telling them this stuff. We're awful, the planet is perfect. And the plants and the animals are great, and humans are just awful. And they're telling them this all the time. If you ever wonder why all the crap that comes out of Congress and the Senate, where does it come from? It comes from this place, from this constant messaging of how awful humanity is. And it is relentless. This is a relentless barrage of awful information about people, about humanity. And I'll give you an example. So, I'm going to give you tons of examples. Number one, every child in high school in America pretty much has seen an inconvenient truth, and they haven't seen it once. They've seen it 3-4 times in several different classes, including ludicrous classes, like in their French language class. Like they're seeing it all over the place. All these disciples of Al Gore are out there evangelizing these young people. And by the way, can I just mention, and this is awfully important, young people are really good. They're really nice and they're really good, and they want to be on the side of the good thing, on the lovely thing, the nice thing. And the thing that's presented to them as the nice thing and the lovely thing is that environmental thing, that green thing. And guess what you're not doing? You're not giving them an alternative. And no one is in there telling them what a miracle capitalism is. No one is telling that story. No one in the schools. There's no program in the schools telling the children that capitalism brings people out of poverty and makes lives gorgeous. There's no one in those schools saying to them that the American dream is something that is extraordinary. This is not an ordinary thing, and this country isn't even slightly ordinary. No one is telling them that. Instead, they get the very opposite. And they watch an inconvenient truth, and they watch an inconvenient truth, and they watch an inconvenient truth, over and over and over and over again. When they're not watching an inconvenient truth, they're watching, and I know a lady in the back asked me, was I going to talk about this? They're watching a thing called the story of stuff.
Yeah. Oh, geez.
God between us and all harm, as my mother would say. The story of stuff, and for those of you who haven't seen it, and you're grown-ups, I mean, it needs an 18 cert, and I mean that not in the way you think I mean that. This is an extraordinary thing, made by the Tides Foundation, paid for by George Soros. Oh. At least 7 million children have been force-fed in schools in America, so far. You have got to go home. Write it down now. You have to watch it. You can watch it for free online. You have to watch it, and you have to really get scared. The story of stuff. I'm going to give you a quote from it, just to let you know the flavour of it. Here's a part of it. And it's presented by a woman in a kind of a jumper, and she looks like a teacher, and she talks like a teacher, and she's awfully fun and kind of, she's got that feel of a teacher. And then the teacher is showing this in the class, giving it all kinds of great imprimatur. Here's a quote from it. This is what humans do, according to the story of stuff. We chop down trees, we blow up mountains. This is a quote, a direct quote. We use up all the water, we wipe out all the animals. So your children and grandchildren, and children that are significant in your life, and other people's children, and the good children of America, are stuck in a classroom being force-fed that with no alternative.